Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Life After MLM, the show. Today we have a ton of people. I am so excited. We have an amazing panel of people spanning all across the anti-MLM spectrum. I am so excited to introduce all of these people to you and have a really amazing conversation. Today, the topic is, what is anti-MLM? I thought it was a really important conversation to have early on in the show because a lot of people are coming into this movement and they have no idea what we're doing. I don't want them to think that we're haters. I don't want them to think that we're just better losers. I want to make sure that they know that we are a voice in this movement and that this movement is big and huge and growing, and that there is room in this movement for every single person. And we want to make sure that you know how to find your space in this movement so that you're not overwhelming yourself or experiencing burnout, and to know that this is an incredibly amazing, wonderful, supportive community. And so we're just going to hop on. We're just going to get everybody on here. I cannot wait to have everybody added to the stream. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
These are the people right now. We're going to get some more in here. We've got Jessica. We've got Dave Vaughn. Dave Vaughn, all the way. It's 1 o'clock in the morning where you are. Please tell everybody where you're at, Dave. I think you're muted. I don't know if I can't hear you. I don't know if we can hear you. Dave will have to fix that. Technical difficulties on a live show. That's totally fine. We're good. So we are gonna get into it. The first question that we are gonna ask right here is one that I've prepared. I am so prepared. Here we go. It is, what does anti-MLM mean to you? We all know what it means to me because you guys are here. So we're just going to start. Who would like to go first? Would anybody like to jump in and decide that they're going to be the first one? All right. Jessica Hickson, please. What does anti-MLM mean to you?
So I think there's like this common misconception that we just like hate everyone who's in an MLM. We hate the MLM company. We hate the products. We hate everything about it. And in my case, at least, I speak for myself, that's not the case at all. Whoa, my face just got really big. Now I'm looking at myself. I can't even see you guys. But for me, it's not that I hate the people or the company or the products or whatever. Mm-hmm. I hate the business structure that requires people to manipulate and deceive in order to be successful, and the tactics in which people are using because they're desperate for that to happen. That's what it means to me.
Absolutely. I think that is a perfect answer to that. Who else would like to go? Julie Joe, how about you? I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sounds good. I'll go. For me, it means advocacy. So advocacy for those who know why we're here and who don't know why we're here. Advocacy to share parts of the MLM business structure that aren't always shared. And advocacy to share the other half of it. They like to share one part, so we're here to share the other.
Absolutely. I'm all about the advocacy as well. And it's so interesting to know, like, there are so many different people in this anti-MLM spectrum. And we're going to get into what is the anti-MLM spectrum and what that means. But there's so many different, right? We've got experts, we've got advocates, we've got activists, we've got people who've got boots on the ground that are reporting. We've got people that are creating content. We've got people that are educating. We've got people that are entertaining. It's an amazing space to be in, and everybody has their space. Let's go with Mallory. Mal, what does anti-MLM mean to you?
For me, I think it's more about, like I said in a couple different places, I didn't have a bad experience. But what really brought me into this was realizing where we don't realize that we were manipulating people. That you don't understand that even though you have the best intentions, you think you're doing well. Like, for example, when Erin Bees first put out her reaction to her own live training, that's where I was already part of this, but that's where it really clicked for me, that she was saying things in that live training that my upline had said. And that's when I realized it was all manipulation tactics, and you don't realize that it is. So it's trying to expose that and show everybody what that can look like, and that you can be the manipulator and not intentionally be one. That makes sense.
Absolutely. That is an excellent point. Chelsea just joined us and Dave is back. I'm not sure if your mic works or not, but if whoever would like to go next, I would love to hear what anti-MLM means to you as somebody in this space.
Can I go next? So hi, my name is Karina, and anti-MLM means to me education for my people that has not been within their reach. And that's pretty much it.
Absolutely. That is really, really great, right? The Hispanic community is targeted so much. And it is I love that both you and Blanca, Karina and Blanca, are both educating bilingually, which is, for me, it is so incredible. I'm so excited that this is happening, and we are reaching another faction of people that need to hear this message, that are being targeted by these companies, that are being devastated by these companies, harmed, and they're blindsided. They have absolutely no idea that this is a thing, that these things are coming for them. It is so unbelievably incredible that you are doing that, Karina. I am so excited. Blanca, can you add to that as well?
Oh, definitely. So for me, it's also just exposing the celebrities that get involved with MLM companies. So for instance, our
I'm not sure if she froze or not, but we can pop back in there when she comes back. The fun of a live video, you guys that are in here, if you freeze and you need to just hop out and hop back in, go ahead and do that, and then click the link and I'll let you back on stage. While we're waiting for Blanca to come back, Chelsea, would you like to take it?
Oh, you know I would. So can everyone hear me? Am I loud as hell? Great. So I think that anti-MLM, what it means to me, oh, there I am, is really consumer protection and not only consumer education, but consumer awareness. That was one of the main reasons why I put out my first anti-MLM video, which was July 17th, 2020, but who's counting? So I first put out that video because Monate was just spreading like a virus in Tampa, and I kept seeing just so much misinformation, and I hardly knew anything about it, but I could tell that it was misinformation because it was all like, oh, I'm an influencer, blah, blah, and it's like, no, you're not. So I made that video. I did, a lot of research and put that out, and then I saw, so many people just saying, I, didn't join because I watched this video, thank you so much, and really at that time, yes, there were, deep dives and a few other, people making videos, and now there's a lot more, which I'm so thankful for. But I feel like from the, influencer aspect of it, because I feel like that's really more of what I bring to the table, and the sales aspect of it, and then also someone who has been through so much treatment and therapy in their lives. You learn a lot doing that. So I think those are really aspects that I bring to it, and really just being able to debunk and pull back the curtain and be like, hey, listen, look at this person's motive. I'm not making any money off of you joining or not joining. Sure, this is my job, but I'm not making money off of your decision, and they are. So please look at the motive and really just, protecting people and spreading awareness, even if you're labeled as a bully and a mean girl. I'm just trying to help you here. So yeah, that's what it means to me, is protection and awareness.
That is excellent. And Blanca is back. So we're going to, well, maybe I spoke too soon. I don't know what's going on here. Of course, it's true. Disco said it is the rule of the Zoom call that when it is your turn to speak, your internet goes out. So let's see. Dave, how about you? While you're still available, if your mic is working, we would love to have you chime in on what is anti-MLM.
Yeah, sure. You can all hear me okay? Excellent. Okay, it is working now. I do apologize. I am in Taiwan, so it's 1 a.m. I'm in this makeshift kind of laundry room. I thought I bought a ring light, but it's kind of like a raccoon motion detector, so we're working with it. For anti-MLM, in terms of what I am in terms the space for me, I would define it as a place where your story can be heard. And I think for a lot of people who come out of MLM, they need to be able to find a community that can help them share that story. I think my introduction to MLM as a concept was through Jay Marie's The Dream podcast. I was listening to it while I had a partner who was involved in MLM, and I just wanted to sort of process what it all meant. And having Jane Marie break down a story that could be digested, I think was really important for not only myself, but anyone within the community to be able to process what they had gone through. So I think Anti-MLM is offering that space for people to be able to really, really understand that kind of abuse they might have faced in their company, or not abuse, but just sort of the experience that they had.
I love that. And I love that you learned about this from Jane Marie's The Dream. Jane Marie is a friend of the show. I love her. She's incredible. And that was one of the things that also made me like even look deeper. I was listening to The Dream while I filmed the Vice documentary, and I was sort of like, MLM is bad, but LuLaRoe's really bad at that point. And like listening to that and breaking it down and learning about Robert Fitzpatrick and his research and everything, that was a huge thing as well, to be like, oh my God, like this is a whole thing. We have Blanca back. Let's see. Are you there? Is it working?
Yes, I am here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Okay, so like I'm hearing you guys a little bit wonky because I'm on my phone. My daughter went and knocked down the internet connection, so bear with me. But basically what I was saying with Anti-MLM for me is just advocating and educating my Latino community. There are a lot of Latino celebrities who are in not just Monat, but also Herbalife, Young Living, and they use their celebrity status to pretty much recruit them into their own dime line. And I was witness to this when I snuck into Rachel Diaz's opportunity call. And all of the women there were just telling her how much they are a fan of hers, how they met her when she was on a show called Sábado Gigante, a big show that a lot of people used to watch back in from when it started up until the early 2000s. So she has a lot of reach. And it's not just her. There are a lot of Latino celebrities who are doing it. And so I think that it is a good thing for us to have multiple people who speak multiple languages and bring awareness to this movement, and so that their communities can also be aware of the predatory tactics.
I absolutely love that. And then finally, we've got the beautiful Kayla in the center square. Here we go.
You're right in the middle. I love it. And honestly, this is the one thing that I prepared for this video. So I'm really excited to speak on this topic. If you can hear my child, he's adding in his own commentary. And I'm wearing my Hun hat. And Roberta, I'm wearing my LuLaRoe leggings just for you today. So Anti-MLM to me, my little niche within this movement, if you will. Sorry, he's being loud and obnoxious. My little niche in this movement is that I am extraordinarily ordinary. My story is not unique. There are so many people who went through what I went through. I was in, for those of you all who don't know, I was in Young Living Essential Oils. I was commission qualified for more than 4 years within that company, and I never made it past the second rank. And unfortunately, as we all who are here know, that's where 99% of people end up. So, you know, I may not be the voice that makes the waves, but I am one of many, and that makes my voice stronger. And I think it's very important for as many people to speak out on this subject as possible, because the more awareness that we are able to really bring out there into the world, the more we're going to protect people who could potentially be victims in these scams, because let's just call them what they are. They're scams. And I kind of love that I had the opportunity to listen to everybody else's perspective on this subject first, because there are so many different perspectives. You know, we've got people that were in an MLM, people that weren't in an MLM, and then we've got people who were at the top of an MLM, and then people like me, the majority, who were at the bottom. And I think that is a really, you know, when you're someone like me, you're like, what could I possibly really have to say? Like, that would be significant, because I never made it to the top of the company that I was in. But in a way, that makes it even more significant, just because there are so many other people out there who are just like me, who are right down there at the bottom and worked so hard and put everything into it. you know, and never made it to the top and lost tons of money, because I lost more than $7,000 minimum when I was in my MLM, more than I ever got paid. So I just think it's a powerful message to spread this awareness that this happens so commonly to people who end up in MLMs. And that's really all I have to say.
So good. So good. I love it. Okay. So that leads me to our next point, which is a point that I've been trying to educate on for a while, especially with working with people in the mental health space and talking about being anti-MLM and moving out of this and where people fit on this spectrum. Essentially, it is a spectrum. I call it the Anti-Mlm Spectrum, where I'm going to pop up this definition right here, of what a spectrum is. A spectrum is used to classify something or suggest that it can be classified in terms of its position on a scale between two extreme or opposite points, right? So it's exactly what anti-MLM is. The next question is, where do you fall in the anti-MLM spectrum? So we're going to talk about this. Anti-MLM, when you leave, obviously you're not anti-MLM. Like, you're just learning, like, this is a thing. I'm unhappy in my MLM. What's going on? I saw this person's YouTube. I listened to this podcast. What's going on? I have questions. That's 1%, right? Like, that's when you hop on the spectrum and you're like, let's dig a little deeper. Some of us are very close to the end of the spectrum. Some of us are 100% anti-MLM, and that's okay. Some of us are 95% anti-MLM, and that's okay too. It's really important that we understand that everybody has a space, everybody is valid, and everybody is welcome. Even if you can't let go of your doTERRA oils because you still have them and you still have so many because you bought so many because you were in a cult, right? It's okay to use them. Don't throw away expensive oils to replace them with cheaper ones. Don't do that. Save your money. It's okay. Use, that's a whole nother thing of just basically generating waste, which is bad too. So we don't need to do that. For me, I wouldn't even say that I'm 100% because I really like weird, kitschy little like MLM stuff. Like, I buy old Avon things that are kitschy because I think it's hilarious. And there are definitely some things that I had when I was in the MLM space that I bought and paid good money for that I'm not going to throw away because it works perfectly fine. I have a Scentsy warmer that I use and it's okay. I don't put Scentsy in it anymore, but I still have that warmer. And so I need people to understand that it is okay. And now I'm going to open up that discussion, and whoever would like to jump in, I'm going to hit up the comments. We're going to be pulling some comments up as well. So please join in on this conversation. Share where you are on this spectrum. It's okay if you're only at 1%, and it's okay if you're like boots on the ground 100%. Everybody is welcome and everybody is valid in this space.
I'll go. Oh, go ahead, Chelsea. Oh, you're muted, I think. Are you?
I was, because I'm an idiot. No, you go first, Queen. You go.
Okay. All right. So I would say that I'm like 98% anti-MLM because, like you, Roberta, I'm not going to tell people, you can't use these products anymore. I personally don't think that they should continue buying them because then they are supporting the business structure in that company specifically. But if you have them, use them. If you like them, use them. But there are alternatives that are comparable in stores that you could probably find that are just as good. And I also say that because I don't think any changes you would make to an MLM would make it to where they wouldn't have to use those predatory manipulative practices, because if they didn't use those, they would no longer be considered MLMs. They would be a totally different type of business structure. So that's why I'm like 98%.
I really liked this comment a lot.
Yes, agreed.
Who would like to take the reins? Chelsea, you up?
I am up. So I think not only with the products, I agree completely with what y'all are saying, especially with how expensive MLM products are, ridiculously expensive. So I think that's important. But then also on the aspect of where people, I have a lot of times comments that are like, I'm in an MLM, but I love your videos. Is that weird? And my comment back is always, no, that means I'm doing my job well. if you know, you're enjoying my videos yet you're in the MLM, and I'm just gonna creep in there, and it's slow. I'm working on the slow burn with you then. But then also I think it's important, like there's people who you know, who a lot of us experience this when the WFAB team, which was a team in Monate, moved over to the pyramid scheme iGenius, and a lot of the Monate girls were like loving that we were exposing it. And then that was just a fascinating thing to watch, because a lot of them were like, wait, like you're not a horrible person. Like you're actually pretty cool. And I'm like, well, thank you. And yes, I know. So I think that's really interesting. And that was kind of a fascinating aspect of that whole entire thing, of them being like, oh, wow, you're not just a hateful, you know, just extremely horrible person. And what you're saying about these things is completely right. So maybe what you're saying about something else is right too. So, you know, my content's, and I assume everyone's content is for everyone, not just people who absolutely hate multi-level marketing companies and think that they belong directly into the garbage. But like I said, I agree with you, what you said about comments, or not comments, products. And then I agree with what Jessica said. I'd say I'm like 98% for that reason with the products. And I was in Rodan and Fields for, it might have been 72 hours, but I liked a lot of the products. One of their like oils, I absolutely loved. I used that shit every day. Now, when I ran out, did I reorder? No, because it was like $100. I'm not, what? No, that's ridiculous. So I think it's good to acknowledge that, so that people aren't just like, okay, it's black and white. It's not black and white. Like you said, it is a full spectrum. And I think that when we do acknowledge that it's a spectrum, and we're, you know, able to be more compassionate, just like Rachel just said, giving, you know, people the permission to make those decisions and have those questions. And it makes it a more welcoming and free space for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Who would like to go next? I'm going to call one of you out if you don't go. Like the teacher, just go. Unmute and just start talking.
Okay, so I think I'm about 98%. And only because, again, the products, I think I mentioned it before. I don't know if anybody has heard me talk about this before, but my mother-in-law, she used to be in Princess House. She was in Princess House for the longest. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a dishware kind of MLM. Think Tupperware, but instead of plastic, it's like stainless steel pots, pans, stuff like that. And she was in that company for the longest of times, like the longest time. She spent a lot of money, and last Christmas, actually, right before she passed, she gave her daughter and 3 other sister-in-laws, like her son's wives, a ton of Princess House stuff, like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of Princess House stuff. And even though I hate the company for what it is, and well, I don't hate it, I just don't vibe with just the practices of MLMs, period. But I keep those pots and pans because she's no longer here, and it's pretty much the only thing she left me. And it's I don't want to use them, but it's so hard because there's so many memories attached to that. And also, when I was little, my mom gave me Mary Kay and Avon growing up a lot, and so that has like that was like my first makeup. It has like a special space in my heart because that's how I learned makeup, with that type of makeup. And I still don't back the companies, but I do have like a special connection to those companies. So I feel like I'm 98% just because I do still own some products, but I stand firm in my beliefs that they are just very predatory and they have very horrible business practices. They don't really care about the people in the company. All they want is the money. And so that's the only reason why I'm 98%.
This is a really good point that Chelsea put in there because somebody was saying, hey, you can donate your things. That is a great option, obviously, like donating things. But again, because they come with this predatory promise, giving these products to people that maybe don't understand that could lead to them liking it, joining, and then going down a completely different spiral, unfortunately. It's hard for me on that one, like where to donate it, where to take it. And again, there was another comment about thrift stores and like, you don't really know what is and isn't toxic or I can't say that word right now, but you know what I mean. Unadulterated. There we go. And so I think that's also really important to think about when you're donating things or when you're purchasing things. You know, we don't really want to continue to purchase the MLM stuff. We just want to give you the ability to know that it's okay while you're moving out of that into finding a duplicate for that, right? Like, we don't want to be like, just buy it forever. Like, we actually want you to stop like promoting and being a part of these completely. And so I think that's an important point to make as well. I know we're sort of tangenting, but did you want to add anything to that, Chelsea?
Yeah. I was actually, I completely agree with everything you said, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because those people who are typically, not to make overgeneralizations, but people who are, you know, shopping at thrift stores or, you know, going to, like, for instance, there's one here that I absolutely love. It's called The Spring, and it used to be like over by my parents' house. It's awesome. I found a real fur coat in there once, and I was like, this is amazing. I was like, I'm also gonna leave this here for someone because they should get it, not me. But also always check the pockets and things when you buy them from thrift stores. But also, I think it's interesting because typically the people who are going to those stores, who are buying those stores, I mean, what is that store's main demographic, right? People who are, you know, maybe not going through the best time financially. Who is that also the demographic for? Multi-level marketing companies. So I think it's important to not do that, but also, like you said, weaning yourself off of those products. It's not like it's a drug, but making sure that, you know, you're just, okay, you know, use it, whatever, but just don't re-up, right? And I was actually just about to type in there too. It's very easy to find dupes and better, more affordable, more accessible products for all these MLMs. But the thing is that the MLM teaches people that it's the best, that it's the only one out there, that you will never find a product like this. That's why it's not sold at Target. And it's like, no, Target doesn't want to, pardon my language, F with you. So that's why. I like that I said pardon my language and then censored myself. But still, so that's the thing, is that you can find better products for these, you know, these duplicates, and they will act like you can't, when absolutely, yes, you can. Ask any of us, we will help you find one. I'm working on a whole list of them, but literally DM me and I'm going to probably tell you some of the products that I love that are way better. Most of these products are absolute dog doo-doo. So take that with what you will.
And Michelle's point is great. Like, shelters are not like your free dumpster. So don't just be giving people trash and being like, it's your problem now. I donated. Like, that's not cool either. All right. Who else wants to jump on this before we move on to the next question? By all means, jump in and let us know what you think and where you fall in the spectrum.
I'm going to mention just my perspective on it. I think that you've all shared very, very interesting elements of being part of that anti-MLM, and I think that that's very important. In terms of a spectrum, I would sort of position myself kind of like 123% like against MLM, because I'm going around and also trying to get people who are not involved in MLM at all to also be like, please do not use these products. So it's not even my own choices that I'm making, but it's also helping to make sure that people are not making those choices as well, especially here in Taiwan. So being in Taiwan, it seems like, oh, that's outside the US. There's a couple people that might be involved in a downline in that respect, but ultimately 1 in 3 households here is impacted in some way in MLM, and in the US it's about 1 in 6. So we're about double here. There's generational families that live within households, so there is a lot of that passing going around between the MLM groups. There is knowledge of anti-MLM and how predatory they can be, but there's not really the extensive understanding, because it's sort of taboo to talk about business anywhere in the world, but certainly here in Taiwan. I would sort of reposition the question a little bit in terms of not just being sort of like a spectrum from 0 to 100%, but just in terms of where you feel you fit within your role. So are you more of an advocate in the space, generating content, which a lot of the YouTuber and creators that are on this call, I wouldn't put myself in that category at all. I have not created that kind of content, but I am trying to work in the background, just sort of go through company data, try to better represent what these companies are trying to show people, get involved with conversations with the DSA, which they never really return those emails, but at least trying to say that I'm someone who's trying to understand this system better, to better educate other people about it. I have students that actually just this week realized that they found my Twitter account. I had to lock it down because we just went into Chinese New Year break, and I didn't want them spending all their time scanning through pages and pages of this information. I'll deal with that when we get back to school. But in that space, as an anti-MLM, I wouldn't call myself necessarily a full advocate, because I would like to be operating this space more full time, but trying to just be there when I can to throw in my 2 cents and any sort of research that I've done. So I would kind of position myself kind of halfway between advocate and researcher.
I definitely think you are more on like the activist side, because you are always doing research, digging, looking in. Your posts on Instagram are fantastic. If you are not following Dave Vaughn, he is a really fantastic anti-MLM account. That's a man with a really wonderful perspective. We don't have a lot of men in the space that are doing this. And so I love that as well. We had Marco on the last chat, which is so great. And now Dave on this one. I love that voice is also being represented here. And I love that the activist voice is being represented as well, because I've done that. I've done the whole boots on the ground thing. It is an incredibly rewarding experience. And, you know, if that's something that you want to do, activism is a really, really great place to do that. We have a lot of really wonderful activists in the anti-MLM community. Right now they're fighting Boo again, because Boo just got picked up by, I believe, Longevity. So we have them doing that. There's so many great people with boots on the ground. And so I really appreciate your perspective on that. And I love that you're like, I'm like 120+%. That's amazing. That's wonderful. Absolutely. Is there anybody else that wants to discuss this before we hop on to our next topic? Of course, Kayla, go on.
Me. I just want to piggyback off of what Dave said, because I'm sitting here like, okay, 0% to 100%. Where am I? I don't know, because I feel like I went from 0% to 100% so quickly. I was so hard on myself for failing in my MLM. And just to make it clear, if you feel like you failed in your MLM, if you have a similar experience where you didn't make it to the tippy top and you lost money, you didn't fail. You did exactly what you were meant to do, first of all. And I just want to say that as far as I go, I'm definitely an advocate for the anti-MLM movement, if you will. I'm going to keep calling it a movement because I don't really know how else to define what we're doing here. But my goal is to become a safe space for other people who have experienced the same thing that I have. All of the things that go into what makes MLM toxic. You know, the love bombing, the toxic positivity, the brainwashing, the cult aspects. There's so much to unpack in the world of anti-MLM. And there are so many different perspectives and so many different people with so many different passions for anti-MLM, because there are so many things that are problematic about the business model that we are discussing here. Yeah, I think that's really all I had to say. I feel like I lost my train of thought just because I'm a little bit like in the spotlight right now.
Can I add something?
Of course.
Okay, so I just wanted to touch on something that Kayla and Dave both said, but I feel like a lot of people, myself included, coming into the anti-MLM community, first of all, I didn't know like the community was a thing. I didn't know that it existed. And once I realized that it did exist, I felt like I wasn't qualified to speak on it because I was in one. And I felt like everyone was just going to see me as like one of the Huns, and people were going to see me in such a negative light that they were going to be like, oh, okay, like now you want to make money off of all the people that you just scammed for the last 5 years. So going along with that, I think it's important to recognize that the spectrum that you're on, the number that you're on the spectrum may change over time. When I first left, this is really throwing me off just looking at myself. I don't know if this throws everybody else off, but I can't see anyone else. It's throwing me off. But when I first got out of my MLM, it took me a year to even talk about it because, like Kayla said, she left and she felt, a lot of shame, a lot of confusion. She wasn't totally anti-MLM, but she was kind of questioning things. And so over time, just learning more and hearing more people's stories and having more people message me and tell me their stories, I've gone more to the 98%. And also going along with that, sorry, I'm like going off on a tangent here too. Oh gosh, I read the comment and got off track too. Kayla, how Kayla was saying that she was like, she's at the bottom and then there's like people at the top. And I feel like a lot of people who are at the bottom don't feel qualified speaking about it because they don't feel like they were in deep enough or they have enough to give. But I would argue that the people who stayed at the bottom have more to give because more people can relate to being at the bottom because the majority of the people are at the bottom. So I would encourage anyone who feels like they don't have a voice because they were at the bottom and their opinion's not valuable, that it is almost more valuable than someone who was doing most of the manipulating of those people,
And if I can just add to that really quickly, you do not have to become an anti-MLM content creator to speak out on this subject. Just tell the people in your life how you feel, give them facts, give them the opportunity to learn more about where you're coming from on this topic. You don't have to set up an entire Instagram or YouTube channel to create content on this subject matter. Awareness is everything at this point. You want to protect your friends and your family from getting into these traps because the smartest person in the world can fall prey to an MLM. I don't feel like I'm an unintelligent person myself, but I'm still trying to figure out the compensation plan for Young Living. And I was in it for over 4 years. They target people. They target people's vulnerabilities. Everybody has a vulnerability. It doesn't mean you're a weak person. And it's so much easier than you think because these people are trained to do this. They are trained to manipulate. They're trained to brainwash you. They themselves are brainwashed the majority of the time, I would say. And a lot of them really believe that what they're saying is true. A lot of them really believe that they're trying to help people and give them an opportunity and that the products are amazing and they're going to solve all of your problems. And they're specifically trained daily to overcome objections by their uplines and the people who are at the tippy top of the company. Like they're not trained how to actually do anything as far as like tangible business advice. They're trained, self-help, which is the brainwashing, and they're trained overcoming objections. So their entire motive is to overcome any objection that anybody might have to say. And it's very easy for these people to manipulate people because it's what they do and it's what they've been taught to do. So that's really all I had to add to that.
Thank you so much, Kayla. Mallory, you're back. I know you were on a work call real quick. You're muted, but if you wanted to pop in and sort of give yours and anybody else that, I don't know, has everybody spoke? After this, we can move on to the next. Or Julie Joe too, okay.
Yeah. Oh man, I sound so loud. Am I so loud? Like a shock to myself. Yeah, I think that for me with the spectrum, sorry, I'm not trying to cough into my microphone. I was kind of laughing when everyone's like, I think I'm 98% in. And then it's like, I just keep thinking about all these statistics that everyone throws out with all these percentages. And it's like, well, where did we come up with this percentage? How did we decide like 98% for anything? And I think it's hard for me to say if I'm 100%, 50%, because, I have so many close friends who are still in MLMs. And for a while, when I started creating content, I really stopped posting on Facebook. That was one of the reasons why I created an entirely new account, because I wanted it to be specific to, this is what I'm doing. And then my personal Facebook will be family. But then eventually I realized, the people, we talk a lot about echo chamber, and a lot of the people that end up seeing my content are already on the train. Like, they're there. Now, that's not true for everybody, but the bulk of the people that are seeing my stuff. So I started moving it back over to my Facebook. But I just really think that I'm almost, 100% there. And I think especially now I feel so passionate about it because, I talk a lot about how I'm a teacher. If you haven't heard me say that, I'm a teacher. I talk about that a lot. And when I used to work in brick and mortar, I live around close to the city of Pittsburgh. And before I was an elementary school teacher, I was a high school music teacher. And I worked in a school that was close to Pittsburgh. So it was like an urban school, high minority population of students. And I was able to be, active in advocating for race issues, as a white teacher, helping kids find their voice and elevate them. And when I moved to, virtual school K-4, that kind of went away, where I have a huge population of various ethnicities, but I don't see them every day. It's everything I do is virtual. So I don't have that interaction. And when we saw how MLMs have really prey on the minorities as well, and how they are very racist. And, and so right now Monet is like what I'm focused on, and how they're just, in my opinion, filled with white supremacists. It kind of refueled that. Not only am I 100% anti-MLM, but now I can focus on helping elevate the minority voices and pointing out where these MLMs target minorities and don't hold their white, market partners, distributors, whatever, accountable for really horrible things. And so that's kind of been a refueling of fire for me, because we don't just see it in Monet. Like, Monet currently is like my focus, but we see it in a lot of them. And so I'm really trying to focus on highlighting that, because I think everybody's got their own little niche, and mine's like a weird little racism and comedy. Like, that's what I'm focusing on. But I think that that's where I really want to dive in. And I don't see myself letting up anytime soon, because, I hyperfixate, because, I think everybody on here is like, I have ADHD. And like, I'm like, I feel like I'm the poster child, but I feel like Chelsea's also like, so am I. So, I'm for the past 4.5 months, I have hyperfixated on this, where I have to like sit down and say, Mallory, you have to do your actual job first before you go be Barb. And that's like so hard for me sometimes, because I have content I have to make for, little children, but I'm just want to throw on this awful wig. So it's, so I guess to answer your central question, I'm probably 100% anti-MLM. I'm all in, folks.
Yeah. And Julie Joe, JJ.
What's up? I would say, I would say I'm 99% because I have a Pampered Chef spoon, but I think that it's important to remind people, like, being 100%, 99, 98% anti-MLM is not being anti-MLM-er or anti-MLM people in MLMs. And so, like, it's just multi-level marketing business structure. So, and why we do this is for the people. There's no other reason at all that we do this. It is just for our people, and for anyone that we don't know, not just for our people, but for other people too. So I think it's just important to remember that when we say we're 99% anti-MLM or 100% or whatever, or 120%, which I absolutely loved, we are not anti-people. We are pro-people, and that's exactly why we're doing this.
Can I add something? Sorry, I'm not trying to overpower the conversation.
No, this is a big talk.
So going along with what they both just were talking about how we're not anti-MLM-er, I know when I started speaking out, obviously I was in for 5 years, so I have a lot of friends who are in. And one of my very one of my very close friends is with an MLM company, and she's not predatory. She's not, like she's not one of the bad ones. And I was really hesitant to speak out because I was like, I don't want to offend her or hurt her feelings. And so I came to the conclusion, and I think that if we, gosh darn it, why'd you do that? Now I lost my train of thought again. Oh, if we create like this safe, inviting space that we are trying to create, people won't see it in a light that's a negative light. And that friend actually ended up coming back to me and saying, like, I'm still in my MLM, and, like I do it casually. So I'm still in it. I still love it, but your videos have opened my eyes a ton, and you've opened my eyes to like what is actually going on behind the scenes of MLM. So I think if we're just creating that safe space and allowing people to still love us because we're not haters, then we won't have that problem as much.
Can I piggyback on what Jess just said? Sorry, Blanca. I also have a friend who actually still sells LuLaRoe. And that was, like I said, I didn't do Facebook because I didn't want to offend her, because I respect the hell out of her. She is such a good person, a great mom, a huge voice for, an anti-racism activist. Like we get along on so many fronts. And when she started seeing some of the stuff I posted, we did butt heads a little bit. And especially at Halloween, where she misunderstood my Halloween costume and thought I was like taking my kid trick-or-treating as a pyramid scheme. And she was like, how do you think that makes, moms feel if you show up at their door and you're like, what is your mom? And she's like, I'm a pyramid scheme, whatever. And I was like, I would never go to someone's house and be like, I'm a multi-level marketing scam for Halloween. And like, what if that person sells whatever? And I was like, no, I literally went to a party. But the point, what that got me thinking was, then I was like, well, I don't want to offend people. And so now when I talk to people and I'm like, oh yeah, my YouTube's kind of growing and my Instagram, like I'm actually getting a little bit of a following and things are kind of going in a cool direction. They're like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I do anti-MLM content. And they're like, oh, and I get nervous that they're going to be like, oh, well, I'm in Arvon, or you know what I mean? Like, and then I'll have to be like, okay, well, it was nice meeting you. And just, I get nervous about that, but I have to remind myself, like Julie Jo said, we're there for them, to help them, and just to like be positive about saying like, well, I educate. So instead of saying I'm anti-MLM content, saying, oh, I post content that educates about manipulation tactics in whatever. It's a long-winded thing, but to just, it's a really weird thing to navigate too.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, when people ask me what I do, I feel the same exact way. I'm like, I make content. They're like, oh, what kind? And I'm like, what do you do first before I tell you? Like, yeah,
I think I told you I met someone who said she was on a team meeting once. I like met a mom at dance class and she's like, oh, I was on this team meeting today. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I found out she works for a university and she was a professor. But I like literally was like, oh no, this friendship might immediately end right now.
Yeah, and that's a real true feeling, right? And I think that's a really great segue into this question, because a lot of times people will come to me and they'll say, I don't know how you do this. Like, I'm getting these comments, I'm getting these messages, like my friend is mad at me, my husband's mad at me, all of this. What's going on? I think I need to take a break. Am I doing too much? Am I going too hard? And like you can't just leave one high demand group and then join another community and treat it as it's a high demand group, because this is not a high demand group. We all educate about that stuff and we try to stay very far away from those demands as possible. So burnout happens and it's okay to take a break. It's okay to step back. And so the question that I want to ask here is, what was a hard moment that made you question if this journey is even worth it? If making content is even worth it? What was that moment for you? We don't have to, go crazy, and not everybody has to talk if they don't have an experience, but just so people listening, maybe feeling that right now, feeling alone in that space, going, oh, I finally found a community, but I'm still feeling alone because I'm feeling this way. I want you to know that you are definitely not alone in feeling that way. And I would love to hear these voices answer this question if they want.
I'll go first. For me, it was when my cousin, she started selling Monet. And so it was just a weird dynamic with her because she, at that point, I was already creating anti-MLM content. So I knew that she knew that I was doing this. So the fact that she even tried to pitch the idea to me was even just like, okay, like, you know what, I'm against this. And now you're really trying to recruit me basically into your own downline. And so it was just having a lot of difficult conversations with my family members because she wasn't the only family member that's in or was in an MLM. I have other cousins that are doing crypto now, which is like the next big best thing that's happening in MLM world. And so it's just really having that hard conversation with them and trying to be informative but not pushy where you ostracize them and then that's all they have. So it's trying to find a nice happy balance or medium.
It is all about balance. Who else would like to chime in?
Hello.
Go.
Okay. So I think that first of all, yes, you need to give yourself time and not overdo it, because I personally have gotten on like the verge of burnout and I'm like, wait, calm down. It's fine. You don't have to put out 75 videos this week. You can schedule them out and then be ahead of yourself and then actually just go snuggle with your dog and it's fine. But then also, I think there hasn't been a moment so far where I'm like questioning like the content, I guess. But there has been a moment when, not to bring up my absolute best friend, Jessie Lee Ward. But when she sent those 2 cease and desist, she wanted to really make sure I got it. When Tony and I opened those and we read it through and I looked at him and I remember just like the first moment of reading it and I was like, oh shit. And I was like reading it over and he was like, just do research. Also call your lawyer, call them, send it over to them, talk about it, sit with it. And I was like, okay. And then like an hour later, I looked at him and I was like, are we all in? And he said, fuck yeah, we're all in. And I was like, all right, let's go. And he was like, you've already scripted out the deep dive video. He's like, so don't even respond to that poor excuse of a cease and desist. He was like, just put out your video and that's your response. He was like, you're going to help so many more people. He's like, you can't not put it out. Think about how many people you've been talking to who were in her direct downline and the lives that she ruined. Like, you have to. So I think it's important to obviously do what you're comfortable with. We don't have to live outside of our comfort zone. It's called a comfort zone for a reason. But I think it's important to remember the purpose, the cause, your why. You don't have to, your why can just be a small thing. You don't have to cry about it. As Jessica used to have to play that game with her upline, talk about your why until you cry. So, yes, off-screen Tony's very, very supportive. He's amazing. But I think that's really important, and being able to diversify yourself as well, just like a little bit of creator advice, being able to diversify yourself with what you're talking about, the MLMs you're talking about, the people you're highlighting, the type of, whether it's, reaction top fail videos or, MLM horror stories or, more of just pure reaction from, a Zoom call or anything like that. Like, really diversify yourself, switch it up, and that really helps you not have that like burnout as well, which is really important. And just being nice to yourself as well is extremely, extremely important. That's it.
Yeah. I take breaks. People will be like, I haven't seen you post on TikTok in 3 days. I'm like, yes, I'm taking a mental health break. Thank you. Like, it happens. It's real. It happens all the time. And I know because I talk to these women and Dave outside of the space. Who else here has an example that they would like to share for everybody listening?
Okay. So for me, I think it was, I had been posting a little bit of anti-MLM content on Instagram, like on my stories. And I have a friend who actually joined Monet a little bit. I'm sorry if you can hear the kids in the background. who had joined Monet. And when the whole WFAP thing broke out, I actually, by chance, just hopped on one of Danielle's lives that she was having with Mallory. And she was like, who wants to come on here? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'll go. She invited me. So I talked about my experience with my friend. Not like a few days later, maybe a couple of days later, she texted me. She sent me this really long paragraph. And she was like, so I caught that live, and I want to tell you that I'm hurt that you would talk about this. And I was like, well, I didn't call you out. I didn't say your name. I didn't say your handle, anything like that. I was like, the only reason that I shared this story was because you and I have been friends since 2001. We were kids. We were children. So for you to, previously to that, we had like a little run-in because I posted something anti-Monet, and she DM'd me. She was like, so we're doing this now. This is. I haven't even tried to sell to you. I haven't tried to recruit you. And I'm like, yeah, you're not the only person that I know that has been selling Monet. And she was just telling me she was hurt, that she could not believe it, that I was putting our stuff out there. And I was like, well, I didn't go into detail. And I was just baffled. I was like, okay, what do I do now? How do I proceed? And I just texted her. I was like, so do you want to have a conversation, or have you made up your mind of what you want to do? And she called me. And she was like, I want to talk. And I was like, okay. We had this really long conversation. We both cried, and like, it was really hard. It was a really intense conversation. She gave me her point of view. I gave her my point of view. And I just said at the end, you know what? Let's agree to disagree. I don't hate you because you're still in Monet. I don't hate you because of any of this. It's just, I wish you could see the predatory tactics and just everything. There's no way for you to win. The odds are against you, and I wish you could see that. And we just agreed to disagree. But when we were in the midst of that conversation, I was like, maybe I should not do this anymore. Maybe I should just be quiet and sit down and not say anything anymore. And she was actually very supportive after the conversation. She was like, no, do your thing, whatever you want. I'm just glad me and you talked it out. But that was definitely a difficult moment for me, that I didn't know how it was going to end. So I feel like that was my experience.
I'll share mine.
Excellent. Yeah, Jessica, and then we'll do Mallory.
So mine was actually the one thing that made me cry when I was on your podcast, Roberta. We talked about it at the very end, but I had made a reaction video to like a Zoom call where someone had used a very traumatic experience in their life, and they had openly stated that they use that to their benefit to recruit to their team. So I had made this entire video about it. And then I got an email from the person who said it in the video. And it was a long email telling me, you know, how hurt she was. And at first I was just like, you know what? You shouldn't have said it then. But then I saw that she had deleted every social media account that she had. And God, I'm really going to cry right now. So I think I messaged Chelsea, and I was just like, should I feel bad about this? Should I take it down? Like, what should I do? And ultimately I left it up, and then I got a message from her later on, and she was just like, I want you to know like how horrible this has like done for my life. It's hurt me so much. It's like humiliated me, and everyone knows who I am. So at that point I was like questioning, like, am I cut out for this? Because I feel hard, clearly. And so I took the video down. Probably like 2 months later, I got an email from her, and she was at the top of the company that she was in. And she said, like, thank you for making that video, because it helped me see from an outsider's perspective how it looks, and that it was terrible, and that's not who I am. And she ended up leaving the company because of the video that I made about her. And so, and she's going to let me share her story someday, but for right now, I'm not going to share. But that just kind of like sealed the deal for me that it is worth it. Like, the people I may be hurting along the way, in the long run, it's going to help them. Because this one, I thought there's no possible way that she could see the light. She was so far in, and I had like dug her a grave, and I made her look terrible. And then for her to come back and like thank me, and she said, you know, I never thought I would be sending a message like this, but thank you. Like, I really have to thank you for this. So that was my moment.
You are amazing, Jess, and we love you so much. And thank you so much for being vulnerable. And that's what this space is, right? Like, this is what it is. It's welcoming, it's support. You guys saw the comments. I pulled a bunch of them up. This is love and support and a safe space to be able to be vulnerable, to be able to say the tough things, to be able to make lasting change. I'm proud of you, Jessica. I love you so much. All right, Mallory, you're chomping at the bit. It's your turn.
Well, I just, you know, me and Michelle, if you guys don't know Michelle, she was on last week, Fallible Spoonie. We've had a couple of conversations about this, of how, you know, it kind of like affects the marriage and being so like focused on this. And I think I've mentioned this a few different times, but my husband and I kind of had like a rough, not a rough patch, but like an argument almost, as it was, because he felt like I was spending more time doing this stuff, creating content, than I was when I was in my MLM. And I didn't see it that way exactly, because I felt like, no, I was doing lives and I was doing all this stuff. But, you know, my MLM experience was, like I said, not negative. I wasn't on Zooms all the time. So in reality, probably. And so I had to have a moment where I was like, okay, I need to cut back, because, you know, my husband would be like, you know, we'll be sitting, you know, we'll be hanging out, the kids are playing. And then, you know, me and Dean will look at each other and be like, where's your mom? And you are in your office making reels, or, you know, making a YouTube video, and you're just not there. And I was like, oh, okay. And I felt really torn, because I wanted to be here, and I also wanted to be with my family. So that's when I realized, like, I can do this whenever. There's nobody telling me when I have to do it. I don't have to put out, like Chelsea was saying, like, you don't have to put out 1,000 videos a week. Like, you know, I want to. And like yesterday, Barb's video went out just because I was like, I feel like being Barb right now, and we're just going to do a video. So like, I just did it, but I don't have to. There's nobody saying that I have a deadline to hit, and I need to like work on that part. But so I was really starting to pull back a little bit, but then I started getting messages from people who were just saying, hey, I just wanted to say, I discovered your content. I really love what you're doing, and I'm leaving my MLM. I had a girl just last week message me and say, can you tell me how to get out of Monet, because nobody will tell me? And I was like, sure. But what I think really was the moment, and it's not even so much a hard moment, but Roberta, when we helped that girl who had just joined Monet leave, when that girl messaged me, and then she ended up on that live with you, me, and the MLM police. And I was like, if I'm going to pull back, I can't pull back too much where I'm still not making an impact, because we are like, you don't see it all the time. So when people do message you and say, hey, you know, I saw your content, it really means a lot to me, this is whatever, that's what reminds us. But when I like talked to a current market partner on the internet and saw, you know, like what she was going through and what answers she was getting, and we were able to answer it for her. And then 3 days later, she messaged me and said, hey, I quit. Thank you. That was like, all right, this means something. So, you know, I work every day to make sure that I'm finding the appropriate times to still give to my family, that I'm not, because like I said, I hyperfixate, that I'm not like, you know, I don't have to be on every single Zoom. Every time you guys are like, hey, we're going to go live, I don't have to be on every single one, even though I want to be, because I'm such an like, oh, look at me. But that's just what I have to like remind myself, that there's really no end to this. Unfortunately, we're going to be doing this business until forever, because MLMs realistically will probably never fully go down. You know what I mean? And like Julie Jo said, though, if MLMs didn't exist, we would still just move on to scam content, because there will always be some sort of scam happening. So there will always be something that we can cover. And so it's not urgent, unless, of course, WFAB jumps for my genius to, I don't know, whatever else. And then that is urgent, and we will be on those calls.
I can go.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, I got my start on TikTok. If you don't know TikTok, I've really had many hard moments that have made me question it. TikTok is a very difficult place to do advocacy in general, or any kind of anti anything, really push back against anything. So for me, I've had a bunch of moments, a lot of moments that go, oh my gosh, like I can't believe this person just told me this, or I can't believe they just said this horrible thing about me, or they just left 30 comments I woke up to calling me all these terrible things. Like, is that worth it? Is it worth it waking up to this hate that I experience all the time? And that was more at the beginning of my journey with the anti-MLM movement, but it was constant at the beginning. And then I received a message from someone who was a person who attacked me on TikTok in a really big and painful way, saying, I did my own research after we talked, or they didn't say we talked. I'm saying we talked. They said, after I said some really bad things to you, and I think you're kind of right. And I said, oh my God. This person just called me all the names in the book, called me some of the worst things, and then they message me and tell me that I'm right. And that was just like a click for me, going, anyone could say anything about me and say terrible things about me, but it's cognitive dissonance. For one, they don't want it to be true. And two, any of them could message me one day and say, the facts you showed actually were true. They were actually facts. And thanks for doing that. It made me sit there. It pissed me off, but it made me think. And so that's, many, many moments, but too many good moments to count. I don't know. Wait, where's the EPH thing? I got to read it.
It says, I can't wait for the day that Eve sends me that message. And then Michelle let her know that that's probably not going to happen. So don't hold your breath.
I was just thinking, I was like, oh my God, could y'all imagine the day when Jessie Lee Ward messages me and is like, I'm so sorry and you were right. And I'm like, you feel the hell's going to freeze over before that happens.
Can you imagine
Absolutely.
Jessie Ward doing this forever with the amount of energy that she puts into what she does every single day, like doing that forever for the rest of your life?
I fully predict in 10 years, she will suddenly turn anti-MLM because she will decide that it's more financially beneficial for her to write a book and go on book tours. I fully predict that at one day she will turn, not because she actually believes it, but she'll look at it as a financial decision, and because everyone's leaving her.
And
probably in the coaching space.
I will be there. I will be right there when that happens. We will all be there.
We'll have like an actual joint commentary on that one.
I will go to her book signing.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Already this conversation is like so amazing. In our private chat, I keep being like, I love this. This is so incredible. I have all these questions, but I'm trying to figure out the best one to do next. And I feel like it's this one. What is your proudest moment as an anti-MLM, whatever you want to speak about? What is your proudest anti-MLM moment?
This moment.
This moment?
Yeah.
Really? No.
Yeah. The up and coming new creators are like,
No.
I know that feeling.
Really?
Roberta, I think you should actually share yours right now, please, if you would like to share.
Because it happened yesterday.
This is not about me.
No, girl, I'm putting you on the spot. Go, come on. I want to hear it.
Co-host over here. We're
gonna. Okay, should I do this one?
Ooh,
should it be like this?
Yeah.
Do you guys like my magnet?
Yes. Magnet. Yes.
Yes. Let me tell you about my proudest anti-MLM moment. I got to meet Leah Remini yesterday and Mike Rinder. I got to be on a Fair Game podcast yesterday, and I cried all my makeup off, all of it, every single bit. It was horrible. It was the most amazing, incredible experience of my entire life. Leah is exactly who she is, and she is incredibly authentic and real the entire time. Mike as well. It was the most amazing experience of my life. And now you're going to, I'll tell you a story. It was really funny. This is the funny story that I told everybody, and I was like, hey, you got to check this out. I'm going to make the screen full because it's very funny and I want to see people laugh. So we're in this chat, right? And this is the best part. And I don't know, it might get cut out. It might not get cut out. We'll have to listen. We'll have to see. But we're sitting there and all of a sudden, and I don't have the best Leah accent, but you guys think so, but whatever. So we're sitting there and all of a sudden Leah's like, Ma, what are you doing? Can't you see we're recording, Ma? And I was like, oh, and Mike's laughing. And she's like, what, Leah? And she's like, Ma, you're sitting there, you're holding the dog, you're talking to the dog in this little voice and you're kissing and I can hear it in the microphone, Ma. It's like, really? You're holding the mail, you open up the envelope. Can you not see we're recording right here? And like they were going off. It was so funny. I was laughing my ass off. I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. And then I'm like privy to all of this like craziness. I hope this stays in the podcast. And they're like, see, Roberta, like this is what you probably wouldn't have seen on Aftermath. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, this is great. And you could tell that Vicky was trying to say something and Leah's like, just say it, Ma. She's like, I don't want to say it, Leah. She's like, just say it. She's like, fuck off, Leah. It was so funny. It was so funny. And I was like, I am so excited that I witnessed this. It was hilarious. Mike was like, there's the Vicky we know and love. And it was great. It was seriously like the coolest experience of my entire life. This interview has been 4.5 years in the making. Leah Remini, if you don't know my story, was like my aha moment. I took a week off of LuLaRoe because the shit was getting crazy. And I watched an Aftermath episode that was a Survivors episode with the Headleys and everybody. And it was literally people being like, when I was in Scientology, they did this to me. And just talking about all the different fair gaming. And I sat in tears crying because I had an example in LuLaRoe for every single thing, whether it had happened to me or somebody else. And it was at that moment that I knew for a fact, because I had been such a fan of Leah for so long, that I was in fact in a cult, and that multi-level marketing, or at least LuLaRoe at this point, was definitely a cult. And I was like, I can't not tell everybody about this. And that sort of was like my even aha moment of being a creator and being an advocate and an activist and speaking out and doing everything. It literally was like hitting the ground running and being like, everybody needs to know this. And from that moment, I have been trying to get Leah's attention for forever. And I don't know if you guys heard, but yesterday my episode of Was I in a Cult with Liz and Tyler came out. It's an incredible episode. I laughed and I cried. It beautifully produced. You should definitely check it out. But in that episode, we talk about my aha moment of meeting Leah. And then what happened was Liz and I went up on the roof of the studio and we took a Scientology selfie. And Mike on Thanksgiving posted that selfie and said, we're taking the week off of fair game. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And I thought, you know what? Mike lets people post pictures. I'm going to post this picture and I'm going to thank him for being a voice for the cult spectrum. And I did that. And I posted it and I said, thank you so much for all that you do. I have the exact same selfie with Liz and I just posted it. And he emailed me and he said, do you want to come on the show and talk to Leah and I? And at that moment, I was just like, full circle. Like it finally happened. I burst into tears. I probably cried for about an hour before I even responded to the email. I called Sarah Edmondson and I was like, please tell me I'm not being catfished. And she confirmed and she called Mike and she's like, it is Mike. He's so excited to talk to you. That was in December. It has been the most incredible experience. It feels so unbelievably full circle. I never thought that would ever happen in a million years. And literally that is my absolute proudest moment of my anti-MLM journey. I'm sorry I took over the chat, but yeah, I want to hear your guys's. Obviously mine is just like, wow.
We wanted you to take over. That's valid.
That's it. That's it. So yeah, that was yesterday. And if you want to experience the emotions, you can head to my IG or my TikTok. And I posted a video of me saying, I'm about to hop on this interview. I'll see you soon. Good luck. And then I come back a disheveled, hot mess, my hair and my makeup. And I'm just like, oh my God, you guys. So if you really want to see me just get all kinds of hot mess, I mean, I say I'm real and authentic. So I felt like I had to post that. But yeah, that was my proudest anti-MLM moment so far. Also, probably the LuLaRoe settlement that I helped make is another huge moment for me as well. But I want to hear your guys' moments. Those are more important to me.
Sure.
I feel bad because I can't say certain things because I've signed NDAs, but
I do know what you've signed, so I know what you're talking about. And we can just I know what that is, and I feel you on that as well.
I'm very excited about those certain things that I can't talk about. And then also, oh shit, I can't talk about that either.
Chelsea's got so much secret stuff that she's very proud about. We'll just have to have you come back later when you can talk about it, and we'll just talk about it then.
That's why my boobs are so big, because they're full of secrets.
They're full of secrets.
And cysts. But yeah, they there's a lot of, so just to speak super vaguely but not too vague.
I think you made Dave uncomfy. He's like, I'm gonna just sip my coffee.
Oh, he loves me. So yeah, I there's a lot of things that I have helped with for a certain political figure. I mean, yeah, political. She's voted in. I vote for her. Who not only goes to my church, but has gone against Monate before. So I've been very involved with that, and it's awesome. And then not only that, and like the things that we're doing, like activism wise, but and just like in like this industry in general, you know, but also having my like family and friends and all that be like so like proud. Like, so for instance, I started YouTube in 2016, September 16th, 2016. But again, who keeps track of dates? Not me. So I remember when I started, I would get like, I would be lucky if I got 200 or 300 views a video. And I was doing makeup and lifestyle and all that. And I'm very talented with both of that, but it's very oversaturated. So, you know, I made that first, Anti-Mlm video. I had done commentary videos before that were pretty successful, but I'm an idiot and I didn't keep going because I'm stupid. But then I, you know, switched over to this, and now so many of my friends and people we know and people in my family are like, oh my God, I watched that video today. This is fucking hilarious. One of my best friends texted me and she's like, how do I work in the words spammy, scammy, and red flaggy into my everyday like vocabulary? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm watching this video that you did the other day. And I was like, oh my God, I love you. So that, and then also like I had told Tony, like there's like a huge festival parade extravaganza thing that we have tomorrow on Bayshore Boulevard in Tampa. It's like on the bay. It's beautiful. If you follow me on Instagram, you know what Bayshore is. It's like where I like go walk and stuff, and it's freaking gorgeous. So it's giant. And I told Tony, I was like, I have this idea, my husband, I was like, I have this idea that I want to do like a dude with the sign type of thing and hold up a cardboard sign and stand in the middle of a sea of people. I'm vaccinated, and I will get tested after, I promise. But I want to hold it up and I want it to say in big, bold ass letters, Monate is a scam. And I'm just going to stand in the middle of a bunch of fucking people. And he said, he didn't even like judge me or anything. The first thing he said was, so do you want me to take the picture and like get the good angles, or do you want to get on my shoulders? And I was just like, I fucking love you so much. Like having that support is really like a big proud moment for me. And then even like my mom and my dad like being supportive as well. Like I told my dad about another like huge project I have coming up that's so exciting, and he even said, he's like, oh well, do you need like a radio voice before it for like a, you know, viewer discretion advised? And I was like, oh my God, I do. And you have a radio voice, like come on over, let's record that soundbite. So it's extremely like, it just, I don't know, it's just that's like a really big proud moment for me. And obviously the moments that haven't happened yet that are happening in the future, hopefully, is extremely important. And I'm going to be very proud of those. And I'm very proud of the, you know, the things that we're doing and the impact that we are having, not to sound like a Monate girly, but it's really important and it makes me really proud. And sometimes I just cry and I'm like, this is my life. So yeah.
It's a heavy advocacy, and sometimes you just cry. A hot shower, crying in the face, it clears it all right up. It's perfect.
I mean, someone's got to do it.
Someone. We stand off-screen Tony so much. He is so incredible. Who else? Who has a proud anti-MLM moment that wants to share?
Oh, I do. I do. It happened December 31st. Unexpectedly, I received an email from this random person. I was like, what is this? I go in there and there's a screenshot of my Instagram account in a Monet team call asking everybody in that specific chat to block me because I had taken down an SCD apparently down. One of my proudest moments, aside from this, of course, because all of you guys are doing amazing work. You guys are just awesome. I love you guys' content. And I think another time was when somebody had commented, I am so happy that we have a bilingual person actually bridging the gap. Can't wait for any more to come.
You and Karina are so crucial. I hope that you both know that the what
Thank
you have
you.
brought to what you bring to this movement and this community is so important. So I hope that you know that even though you know it's important, we also see what you're doing as important, and we are so happy that you are here.
Yes, as a Suarez, listen, Nena, listen, I might not be Cuban, but I am Cuban by injection, and I always have so many.
Listen, you should not be saying that. Listen, you got in trouble the last time you said it.
Oh my God, no, I didn't. Oh, maybe I did.
I'm sorry, Cuban by injection. I can't.
First of all,
I thought it was funny because with my mind.
Oh, fuck yeah, girl. But I always had people, being like, oh my gosh, well, do you speak Spanish? And I'm like, you don't fucking want me to, because it's going to be horrendous. I can understand it a lot better. But when I first, found, not like I discovered y'all, but like when I first came across y'all, I was so excited and so proud. And I am also proud that you got blocked.
Yes, can you take down? If you took down an SCD, can you take down Mandy Evans next? Like, if you already took down one.
I would love to.
Like let's go.
Is that her last name? Evans?
Evans, yes.
Evans?
So basic white girl, anyhow.
How dare she be basic and white?
How dare she be like just a normal American name?
Oh God. But you are so so important and loved, and I appreciate you so much. Yeah,
Julie
you are
Jo,
extremely important. She meant to say POC, not POS.
I was like, piece of shit creators are so massively important.
I thought that was funny. I knew what she meant, but I thought it was hilarious.
It's me. Are we surprised that I fucked that up?
I'm a piece of shit creator.
I am. I'm a piece of shit creator for sure.
POC and POSs are welcome here.
Yeah, you're all welcome. But yeah, no, we appreciate you so much, and obviously love being able to share our platforms with you and send y'all know I fucking tell everyone to go over to y'all. I just did it before this live stream, so
you did. Thank you.
So I appreciate y'all, and your content is amazing, and please keep going. And if you have any of these bigger Huns who are trying to intimidate you,
we know who to call.
Just drop me their at. I just want to have a conversation. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
You are so funny. Who else? Who has a proud anti-MLM moment to share?
Okay, so for me, it's definitely this, because just the way everything came about, it was really fast, and also I still had not made up my mind, and it just the stars aligned. So from the beginning, before I even started making content, and I just kind of brought up the idea, I got a ton of support from Julie Jo, from Aaron, from Chelsea. And just before they even knew who I was or anything, they were like, yes. So whatever you need. And I'm still fangirling over all of you, even though, like you said, Roberta, the other day, you are just a normal person, but I have admired and watched. So for me to be sitting here, and I'm not going to cry, it's incredible. It's incredible. And especially because I, in my personal life, have not always had support, even from family and stuff. So for me, it's everything. And it's my proudest moment in this community. So I'm not.
Can I just share?
We are so happy to have you in this space. You are such a needed, important voice. And I am so excited that you're here.
Let me share how I met Karina, because she was so funny. She sent me video messages in my inbox, and she said, she's like, I think you were laying down and you're just holding your phone like right here. And you're like, okay, so I don't really know, like nobody follows me and nobody's going to do this, but I have this content and I need it to go to somebody. And you're the only one that I feel like I could send it to right now because you're kind of a small creator too. And she sent me, I forget what it was at this point, but the way that you were just like, I feel like you're the one to get it out. And then we started talking and I was like, you need to start doing this too. And it was just like one of the most real people ever. But when I opened this video message, because I think Karina was the first person to send me a video message, where it was like Jenny Wild was the first one to send me a voice message where she sent me like 15 minutes of her just talking about whatever. And then Karina, and I was like, what am I about to open up and see? And with Karina just being so sweet and so genuine. So yeah, I love you so much.
Thank you. It was about the whole WFAP thing when it was going down, and I just didn't know how to get some information that I had out. I was like, just thank you, everybody. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get this emotional on here, but it's just been great. And I also get a little bit of that imposter syndrome kind of situation, because I feel like the hard work has already been done for us. Well, at least in my case, the hard work has already been done for me. I just have to make sure it gets properly translated and put out there for my people. So that's basically like my niche, just the translation and the execution of it all. But the hard work has already been done for me by all of you here. So just thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted to show that comment. This seriously, I know we're only on episode 3, but this is my favorite episode of all time so far. And I hope I get to say that on every single episode, because what we're doing right now is we're changing things.
Yeah,
we're
but I don't
this
know.
Conversation to a space where people can feel that they can come in and have good conversations, you know?
No, I think Marco proposing to Jesse Lee forever takes the cake.
But here, that's a late night.
This is important, but
that's a late night. That's after hours.
That was after dark. MLM.
That's life after dark. That's where it gets real spicy. That's where we talk more about those Cuban injections. Swear to God, Chelsea. Swear to God.
I want to say something. Can you guys hear me? I want to say that stuff like this, I think, is really important in the anti-MLM community too, just because I know when I left my MLM, and I know a lot of people felt like this too, part of what makes MLMs so desirable for people is like the community that comes with it. And I know leaving, I felt very alone, because all of my friends for the last 5 years were in this MLM. And I had pushed away all of my real life friends. And so I was like, I have nowhere to turn. My husband was deployed at the time. Luckily, my neighbor stepped in, and she was like my best friend throughout the entire process of healing after my MLM. But showing people who maybe are in MLMs that there is a community outside of the MLM that is loving and supportive and will welcome you with open arms, which I feel like is what we're doing now, is really helpful for people who are in.
Can I piggyback off of that, Jessica? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
I love that you just said that, because going with what Karina said, I 100%, I feel the exact same way that Karina does. Like I'm a very small fish in this big sea of content creators. And I'm totally fine with that. Totally fine with that. But as far as what Jessica was saying is, I found more of a community, if you will, with anti-MLM content than I ever even could have imagined possible when I was in Young Living, spamming people to get them to buy essential oils and all that crap. I haven't received any hate from any MLM Huns yet. Maybe after today, maybe after this video, I don't know. But it's been a really wonderful experience just to be in this space with all of you beautiful humans. So I just wanted to take a moment to say how much I appreciate all of you. So thank you for having me here.
I think too, I don't really receive hate either. And that's not like a flex. I just don't ever get people to like come after me. But I think that when you're like telling the truth. You have so much truth to give. They really have nothing to rebuttal with because they can't rebuttal the truth, you know? So I think as long as we stay authentic and truthful and don't attack like individuals, then we're not really going to have that problem. They're going to tell them to cut out the haters and, you know, leave them in the dust.
They can't
Unless
argue
you're on
the truth.
TikTok. Unless you're on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, love you guys, but that's a different place.
Yeah, TikTok is like a whole different beast.
Yeah, I just don't even read my comments on TikTok because I'm just like, people are going to hate, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the comments are fun. I like to use them as educational examples.
I like how Chelsea uses them. That's how I think I would use them.
Who are the real haters?
Yeah, actually, sometimes I tell my husband, I'm like, I wish that people would be like mean to me sometimes, so I could have like that content to share. Like Chelsea uses her mean comments.
Another day and nobody's been mean to us. What the?
You know what though? But I mean, if MLM has taught us anything, Jessica, just make it up. Just pretend that you've got a whole bunch of hate comments and just make a video.
We could do that for each other.
You know what? I'll post hate on you. You post hate on me, and then we'll make.
We
And then we'll just go from there.
Right, and then you start the video off with, "I've been getting a lot of hate lately."
Yes,
and then
everybody's
you share
been
all the
hating
hate.
on me. Everybody.
I'll
Everyone's
send you a
hating on
cease
me.
and desist and send pizzas to your house if you want. I mean, if
Oh.
you want this heat, I'll give it to you.
So I need to
I don't
see
know about
that.
the pizzas, but
Chelsea, I need you to follow
Wow.
through with that. I want to see that like on Jessica's YouTube, just like her getting a pizza and being like, "What do I do?"
Yeah, but
it's
my
not
thing
just
is-
one pizza.
No, it's like 17 pizzas. But my thing is like I'd pay for them. So then she'd just be like, wait, I don't get it. Like, Chelsea, I think you did it wrong. Yeah.
Oh, if you just want to send me a pizza that you paid for, then yeah, I'll take that.
You're
My
always
husband's
trying
on
to-
a scooter.
You're always
I
trying
gotta
to
figure
take
out
me
dinner
to-
tonight.
You're always trying to
Julie.
get the same food.
Julie Joe, I saw your hand up. Did you want to add to this?
Oh, yeah. I've been trying to think, but sometimes I just feel like I'm living in this crazy alternate universe about anti-MLM, like compared to my MLM. Like, I just feel like I'm on a high. Like, I feel joyful and I feel excited and happy. And I don't really have a proudest moment yet, I guess. Just all of it is so great. Honest to God, even some of the hate comments, because they make me giggle, but not all of them. Some of them don't. But I don't really know. I've been trying to scrape my brain, and I just feel like I don't know. I don't want to get emotional because I don't like to do that, but I think my proudest moment would be anytime anyone messaged me that they were no longer lonely, or they no longer felt like they were alone compared to their time in the MLM, that they felt they had a community of people that they could reach out to for anything, even if it wasn't anti-MLM, and those people would be there for them. They are not transactional. They are not a dollar amount. They're human with a soul, and that's my proudest moment would be anytime anyone messaged me that, and that I contributed to that in some way.
I absolutely love that. Dave, yes.
Let me There we go. Hello. Sorry about that. Lagging you down. I just wanted to say you all shared very important stories, and just sitting back here and listening, which I think is rare for a lot of men. So I should have done that in this space, and I thank you for inviting me here. I wanted to just sort of wrap up with those thoughts of listening to you all. I think within anti-MLM, when you come into this space, you come in with different reasons. So for myself, I wasn't involved in an MLM. My ex was, and one of my main objectives was trying to get them out. So when I learned the day not from them, just because of the experience of trying to sort of help educate and support them, and also for myself not being an expert in this space and not really knowing how I should do that, learning afterwards about Stephen Hassan's strategic interactive approach and the right way to be able to support and educate someone out of this. I didn't do that, and I don't get to keep that relationship that we had. But hearing the day that he had gotten out was my proudest moment, right? Because it's not something that is going to be big, But I mean, for Roberta, you have this other spectrum of you have this sort of public moment where you have already shared that Leah has sort of helped you realize what this story was, and for others, it's going to be that you want to protect your family and make sure that they don't have to deal with these kinds of problems. And when you're hearing from your family members that, hey, this is helping me, and I appreciate that you're doing this, and I support you going through this. I think that for a lot of us, the reason why we get involved often becomes our proudest moment when that's fulfilled. So. And I also want to add, sorry, I shouldn't jump in on you because you guys have far more to share than I do, but I did notice between Jessica and Kayla, you had both mentioned in your story just having that space that was very inviting for you and feeling welcomed. I think that ultimately that's really what we're trying to create. And even though I'm such a small part of that, I think all of us contribute very marginally to all of that. And all the same people that were in MLM that are now welcome into the anti-MLM space, right? We are all those same people. Those people that were in the system, they were trained and educated to perform in that way. I think when we get out and when we can be ourselves, I think it's really nice to sort of have a community where we can share our stories this way. So.
Yes, I seriously, like I said, this has been one of my absolute favorite chats. We're wrapping up, but there was one comment in the questions early on about an hour ago that I wanted to come back, and it was from our beautiful friend Michelle. And we're going to sort of elaborate on this a little bit because for those of you that are new in this space and are finding this video either live or in the replay and thinking, which video should I start with? So why doesn't everybody maybe just, even if it could be your own video, it could be somebody else's video, but everybody just everybody share maybe one of their favorite things to listen to when you're new to this, to sort of help you dive in and sort of get the gist of what this whole thing is about.
Can I go first? Because I just rewatched it the other day because I was like, I want to remember what I said. I made a video called An Honest Apology, and it was about maybe 2 weeks ago. There is a girl that lives near me who sells Monet. She's a managing market builder, or maybe just a market builder. I don't know the difference, but she discovered that I had been using her content and she was mad. And I totally understand why you would feel mad. I know that I would feel mad when you discover, and I blurred out her face. I never said her name. I made sure her name, and every time I used her content, but I was using her content because a lot of the things she was saying was inaccurate. And when she found out that her content was being used, she got really mad and she made a video not calling my name out, but like talking about me and being a hater. And so I made this video of being like super teacher. I made flashcards and I talk about what hate is, like what does the word actual hate mean, and what is accountability, and what is debunking, and what is bully, like, because they say all the time you were being bullied, and I'm like, I have never once sought harm, intimidated, or coerced you, and I got really passionate about it. And so I think for me, even though I'm talking to one specific person, that video, I think, perfectly encapsulates the words. Oh, thank you, Michelle. The words that they use on us, that we're haters, that we're bullying them, that we're targeting them. That video helps them look at, okay, what are the words you're using and how are you using them incorrectly? And what is our, like, at least for me, what is the whole movement supposed to be? So that is my video that I want everybody to watch if they're coming new to this community.
Excellent. Julie Jo.
I would recommend Erin B's video of why she left Prove It. I put it down. I put it in the comments. But if you don't know, she's my bestie, so I'm biased. But like, also, she's an absolutely incredible human being. And if you've had a conversation with her, you know that. Her story is phenomenal. And yeah, she's wonderful. And I recommend all of her stuff. But that video of why she left Prove It, that's what I think everyone needs to watch. So.
Excellent. Jessica, you're on the spot.
I think I would say probably the one about the truth about why I left. And then Yeah, kind of say along the same lines with Aaron, the first react to my own videos. I think there's I don't know, there's a lot to say about someone who can like roast themselves for doing the things that they're now roasting people for doing. So it's like powerful for people who may be like, oh, you know, she just is saying that because she didn't work hard enough or whatever, whatever. Oh, also, Hannah Alonso's channel is really good. She has a lot of very educational content with a lot of facts and research behind it. And also, I wanted to mention the what is it? The psychology group. Is it AP? Whatever psychology. She I don't know what that is. I don't know. Okay, it's been a while since I went through sign language, okay? Anyways, the psychology channel, she's just so well-spoken. She's so eloquent with her speaking. She just is so smart. AM psychology. There you go. She's so smart, and I don't know, there's just something about hearing someone speak so educational about the actual like mindset of these people that is so powerful for me. And maybe it's because like I knew a lot of people who had those same characteristics, and I probably had those same characteristics at one point, so it's powerful.
Can I piggyback again?
You're up next anyway.
Kayla, you're up next.
I'm going to plug Hannah as well, and she's in the chat, so I know she's here silently watching at the moment. And I always plug Hannah because she is the person who got me, who turned me anti-MLM, basically. So her first video where she came out and said, "This is why I am anti-MLM. Please don't hate me, but here's my opinion. If you want something relatable, especially if you've been in an MLM and you've never heard anybody make those kind of points before, it really like just flipped a light switch on inside my brain. And that was all it took for me, was one video. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was never my fault. I was destined to fail. It's the system. The system's a problem. But she has a whole anti-MLM playlist. Her horror stories are really great. Deanna Mim's horror stories are really great. Just something to where you can hear other people's experiences. Go listen to the horror stories. There are so many, and I'm sure that there are a ton of other creators covering. I know Chelsea did a ton of horror stories, and I don't think you do them anymore, right?
Dyslexia allows me to not do that, so I don't do that anymore, but the other creators that do are absolutely amazing. I have a lot of them still up there, but yeah, go check out those channels.
Yeah, so I just wanted to plug Hannah real quick because that's where my anti-MLM journey, if you will, started. And she's very well spoken. She makes a lot of excellent points without hating on MLM Huns or calling out anyone in particular. You know, no offense to any creators who do that. Like, all of this stuff is put out and all of this stuff is put, you know, public on the internet, fair use. You all always say it all the time. Like, do what you got to do, you know, call out the bullshit. I'm here for it.
I love it. Karina, you're next.
Okay, so when it comes to other content creators, there's not a specific video that I would recommend for you to watch just because all of their content is amazing. Some of the first people that I ever watched was Savannah, Chelsea, Julie Joe, Erin. There's just so many for me to name. But I'm going to recommend one of my videos for like a super completely different reason as everybody else. But go watch my first video that I posted on MLM, because on anti-MLM, you know, because that's just proof that no matter what you have and no matter like, if you have something to say, just do it. If you want to be a part of this community, just do it. There's nothing but support here for me, at least so far. There has been nothing but support. So if you feel bad about filming on your phone and just you don't feel like it's gonna get views, just sit down and just do it. Okay, my first video, all of my videos are still pretty bad. I still film sometimes on my iPad, sometimes on my phone, you know. So, but just the message is what matters. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So if your video is even a little smidge better than mine, you got it. You did this already. And I know I'm still a growing content creator, but I've heard plenty of other creators say it. Chelsea, Julie, everybody, just do it. If you have something to say, you have something to share, just say it. But also, off of that, the relationships that we all formed here, they're completely organic. So just keep that in mind. And for me, it had to do a lot with luck. So don't expect just that overwhelming support right away. Like, yeah, try to get your stuff out there, but please remember there's a very fine line between getting your stuff out there and being pushy. So just, I think that's it. That's all I have to say.
I think I had the
Beautiful.
best advice from Chelsea that I always give people when they ask me that question is, you're always going to look back at your first video and you're going to want to cry. You're going to cringe so hard. And so like, just do it because you're going to cringe either way. So just put it out there.
How do you start? You
Absolutely.
just press record.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely. That's all you have to do.
Ooh, girl, your first video? It's
Yeah,
gonna
girl.
suck. Guess
Yeah.
what? Your first 10 videos, they're probably gonna suck ass. I rewatched, and I never do this because it's so cringe to do even like a very high production video that I do. It's so cringe, and I want no part of watching that. Anxiety, no thank you. But I rewatched my Monate video, and I was just like, who the fuck watched this? Like, who can sit through this with the horrible audio and all that? But it's one of the most helpful videos I've ever made. But that's not my answer to this question. So Dave, you're up. What's going on? I'm taking over this.
No. Please go ahead.
Oh,
I'll take the backseat on this. Go ahead.
Fine, whatever you say. So I'm not gonna lie, like I said, I don't know what the question is because Tony called me and he's like, hey, I'm at the dealership, I'm buying a new Hellcat. So he got bamboozled at the dealership once again. So what was the question? Roberta?
The question is just anything that you would recommend a newbie, be like, hey, like if this is your first introduction into anti-MLM content to get them into it, what would you recommend? Whether it's your content or somebody else's.
Yeah, so I also really like AM social psychology as well. She's chef's kiss. Like I got a crush basically. So she's awesome. And then also of my own content too. There's a video that I did that doesn't really have it wasn't a very well performing video, but I think it is more powerful. Is my Dear Boss Babe video, where it's meant for if you have someone who's in an MLM or if they DM you, it's meant for you to send it to them. And it's the video, the couch people, Matsu, thank you. It's meant basically it's me speaking directly to them in it. And I literally started and I'm like, hey, listen, someone sent you this video and it's okay. You might hate me already, but it just please listen. I dare you. It just please. And I go through it and I explain motive and cognitive dissonance and the lies, and I debunk a bunch of stuff. And I think it's a really good example of I might be portrayed, or people might think I'm a mean girl. I'm just an assertive woman who can't shut the hell up. And I think it's interesting because that video is a very good representation of, how caring I am and how caring this genre is. Y'all know I don't like to call it a movement or a community, but I really think that's important. Mac Attack, as Sheila said, is also hilarious. The Jesse Lee Ward deep dive. Yeah, that's just me being petty, honestly. So I think that one is a really good one. Yeah, and Lacey said she sent that to someone who slid into her DMs. So I think that one's really important. And yeah, so that's great. That's it.
Incredible. Blanca.
Okay, so definitely one of my favorite videos that I've done is the Nuestra Belleza Latina. Let me look up the title of that one. Oh, hold on just a second. I'm getting a call. It is from Nuestra Belleza Latina, and I actually did this video thanks to Chelsea. She had posted on her stories about a contestant that was on this show, and I remember messaging you about it. I'm like, I know her. Her face, it looks familiar to me. I even looked her up. She was a contestant on this show. The chokehold that Monate has on Univision is astonishing. So that video just goes to show how deep Monet is in the Latino community. And honestly, any creator's video out here where they talk about their experiences in an MLM company and why they left. I would also like to plug in Amal. Her videos on iGenius, I can't. Amazing. Amazing. So if you guys do not follow Amal, I don't know what y'all doing, but go follow her.
Amal is a queen. She's going to come on the show. We're going to get her on here.
Yeah, Amal is absolutely
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
She was covering iGenius before basically any of us even knew what was going on with them, and she is absolutely a queen, and she was
Just
very harassed by them.
just
and she's
yeah,
amazing.
and so she's so well spoken and poised. Like she's excellent, excellent.
I'll wrap up. Just as a typical man, I'm going to change the question just so I can answer it better. So instead of YouTube video, I'll talk about podcasts just because that's sort of where I've been in the space. And I think some people just prefer that medium. There are a bunch of podcasts that you can listen to. Some of them have sort of no longer been updated. I would say sound like MLM, but okay. The Anti-MLM pod is sort of going through whether or not they're going to start up or not again. But Life After MLM obviously deserves a honest plug. Incredible show that is sharing these stories, and I think that that's important. There's a number of other ones that you can find. Just go to any podcast feed and listen to one that really connects with you.
And if we're going to plug my show, I got to plug Danielle's, which is From Huns to Humans, which is an incredible podcast. She references my podcast a lot. I feel like it is an amazing companion episode or companion show to my show, where I tell the stories and then Danielle sort of digs a little deeper into the mental health aspects of those things. So if you're in that mental health space and you're going but why? And I don't understand. And I listen to Life After MLM, but I have more questions. I would absolutely refer you to From Huns to Humans. It is chef's kiss. I love Danielle. She's on her honeymoon right now. But when she's back, she'll be on here too. She is fan-fucking-tastic.
Sorry.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Okay. I'd also like to plug an Instagram account. Her name is Gladys at MLM Exit. She also does content in Spanish and English, and her stuff is just, if you want to get the point really quick, she's straight to the point. She makes good points in Spanish. All her posts are in English and Spanish. So she'll also have a YouTube channel soon. I don't know when. She's working on that, but I feel like she's another bilingual creator who you should definitely follow. So
if I could
100%.
if I could shout out a small creator, there is a Instagram creator who just started YouTube. Her name is Sonic Fights MLMs, and she is so brilliant and on point, and every single post has Sonic the Hedgehog in it. But she takes on Eve and she takes on Colleen, and she just posted her first YouTube video, and I think it was Jessie Lee, and the edits that she put in were and it's like 3 minutes. So it's not like a huge commitment. So funny. So she's not only super smart, but she's in South Africa. So her hours are like crazy all over the place. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely go follow Sonic Fights MLMs. And she has lots of really good educational content there too.
Absolutely. You guys, I love you all. I'm going to also pin this because I appreciate you all as well. Incredible chat. Thank you. We did 2 hours. I didn't even think, I try to stay between an hour and a half. You listen to my show, but if the conversation is flowing, we're going to keep going. And that's exactly what happened today. And I am so, so excited that all of you were able to join us. Savannah was supposed to be here, but she had some stuff that happened and she wasn't able to join us. So she will get on another show soon. Boo, you whore. We love Savannah here. We stand Savannah and Maria as well. And I just, if you guys are listening to this and you're like, I really want Roberta and the crew to talk about this topic, let me know. I will do the work on the back end. I will find the experts and the advocates and the activists that are in that space to answer those questions properly and have these discussions on Fridays. Again, if there's anything crazy that's happening, we try to do last minute special episodes. But I can't promise that because I do way too much already. But thank you again so much. I will see you guys next Friday morning. This is such an amazing space. Thank you to Dave for staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning. Take a lovely nap and have some coffee when you wake up. We love you, Dave. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Jessica, Chelsea, Kayla, Karina, Blanca, my girl Julie Jo, and you know Mal. Thank you all for being here. And we will see you next week. Mwah! We love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.